I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Balara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you. Hi everyone, I'm Jason Balara and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today I'm here with Nitzan Mosery. He is known as the traveling investor. He's a serial entrepreneur, world traveler, family man, radio personality, and co-founder and CEO of Cornerstone Investment Partners, which is a multifamily real estate investment group. And he's an investor, coach, and mentor. Nitzan, thanks for coming on the podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Jason. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good. I even just reading your bio, I love it. I think it sounds super interesting, but I love it if you would just go ahead and kind of just tell us your story, tell us your background, kind of, where you started and where you are now, and then we'll dive into whichever parts of that you think are interesting.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I was born and raised in New York City. I'm first generation American. I grew up, speaking English and bad English at the house, right? Learning English as I was growing up. My parents worked hard all their lives. My father, I remember him always telling me, go study law, go become a lawyer, and you can do whatever you want. Whoever knows the law has the world in their hands. I tried it. It wasn't for me. Worked on Wall Street for a while, growing up in New York. And then at the age of 25, my father passed away. That kind of threw me for a loop. I went in a downward spiral of just drinking and just questioning everything. And at the age of 27, I moved to Israel, lived there for a couple of years, and then went traveling and had a similar beard to what I have now, a little bit smaller though.
I love the beard.
Not as full. And then in 2009, I moved back to the U.S., got back into real estate, started flipping houses because I was the lowest hanging fruit. And I saw the end of that coming very quickly. So I wanted to shift into something that would give me some passive income. Did real estate with my family in New York and then in Israel and a little bit in South America. But I always knew that I'm very lazy. I don't like working a lot. I don't like getting up and going to a job. It's just never calculated in my head. So I've always tried to stay away from it as much as possible. And in 2009, after traveling, meeting my wife while I was traveling, we moved back to Israel. I opened up a raw vegan restaurant and then moved to the U.S. in 2009 to South Florida, where again, I started flipping houses. And then I realized that I wanted to get that passive income going, and I was looking around, what could we do? And I started learning more about multifamily, and I got into that. And 10, 12 years later, here we are, bought and sold a bunch of multifamily properties, gave our investors some nice returns, had some struggles this past year with COVID. Thank God we were able to ride that out. Yep. And here we are today, continuing to look and grow the business and get our investors some nice returns for their money.
Yeah. Getting good returns for the investors is definitely key, sort of focus in multifamily. But really, it's a really interesting background. And I guess I'm sort of curious about, so you said you invested in not just in the US, you were investing in other countries and things like that, all in real estate. Is that kind of, how did that, And so how does that work? Is it a similar process when you're investing outside of the US as it is to here in the States, or is it just like a totally different thing?
Well, I'll give you an example. Here in the States, we have multifamily apartment complexes where a group of people own the entire complex. In Israel, for example, that doesn't exist.
Okay.
All the buildings, they're all condos. So when you're buying a unit, you're or you're investing you're investing in one unit in that building. So the mentality is a lot different over there than it is here when you're buying, an apartment building or a condo building. It's completely different.
It's
Um,
yeah,
the investment ideas, right? Buy low, add value, sell high, get cash flow, and so on. That's the same.
yeah,
But there's obviously the nuances, like I shared. One is here we have multifamily in Israel. That doesn't exist. It's all condos. Also, when you're buying and selling a property, the process is a little different as well. Here we go to closing, you pay your earnest money deposit, you go to closing, and then at closing, the lender comes in with their money, and then you go in with your equity and you buy the property. In Israel, it's a little different, right? At every different stage, there's more money being put into the account and more money put into the account.
okay,
So towards the end, there's a little bit of money left at closing that has to be entered and so forth. So it's yeah, it's very different.
interesting,
And the same thing with
interesting.
South America. It's little nuances that are different, that it's always good to have somebody boots on the ground,
Yeah,
knowledgeable of that market to partner up with you, or to, you hire them so that they can guide you in all those different little details that are different.
yeah, yeah. I guess you could almost say that that is similar to just even the different states and different markets in the US, right? It's, buying something in well, I'm in Los Angeles. Buying something here in Los Angeles or New York City is very different than buying something in Atlanta or the Carolinas. I mean, it's just you've got a different set of landlord tenant laws, things like that. So yeah, makes total sense. Um, so you started flipping houses, you said in 2009, which probably was actually a pretty good time to get into real estate, basically just after the crash. And then how long before you got into multifamily after that?
So I think 2009, I started flipping multifamily. I got into it in 2010.
Okay, it's pretty
I
soon.
was telling everybody what I was doing. All my hard money lenders that were lending me money for my single family flips, everybody that was involved in my single family
Yeah.
flips, all my investors and whatnot, friends, family. I kept sharing with everybody that I'm getting into multifamily and this is what I'm looking for. I'm
Mhm.
looking for people who want to invest, and I'm looking for people who have properties that want to sell.
Okay.
So my first deal was a 27 unit property in Leesburg, Florida, which I'd never heard of Leesburg until that time.
Yeah. I still
Um,
don't know. I
and
don't know where that is, but in
Yeah,
Florida somewhere.
It's an hour north of Orlando, and it's
Okay.
by the springs, and it's a nice little area. But if you're not from the area, you'd never know it existed.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and I got a good deal on it, and then flipped it to another investor and made some money on that. And that's kind of how we started trickling into the multifamily, into the bigger units.
Yep. Okay. And so at this point, so I mean that was if that was 2010, we're basically 11 years beyond. Where are you at with your portfolio? Kind of how I'm sure you've grown since then. How how where does your portfolio sit? At this point.
So it sits, we've got properties in Oklahoma, we've got properties in Texas, we've got properties in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. My personal portfolio, I have properties in New York City still.
Okay.
We have a hotel in Memphis. We have a glamping resort on Lake Wiley outside of Charlotte, North
Oh,
Carolina.
great.
We've got some multifamilies as well. So a nice diverse portfolio.
Yeah.
Our core business is multifamily, and it's cyclical, right? We have two properties that we're selling right now that we're going to closing next in about 8 days. Knock on wood, God willing, everything works out well. I don't
Right.
want to jinx it,
Yeah.
but we're moving to closing, and so far everything is working, and it's all good. So it's cyclical. You're buying, you're selling, you're buying, you're selling, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah, sort of a constant in fluid process. So your coaching, mentoring, is that how involved are you with that? Is that sort of a big part of what you're doing on the day to day at this point? How are you sort of balancing it all, I guess?
Yeah, right now that's kind of my side hustle, right? I want to teach people how to create passive income. I think it's very important. I think financial literacy is huge.
Yeah.
I think mindset, needs to be taught to people, and how to achieve the right mindset and maintain it, and just give success philosophies and principles. They've been written about by tons of people. There are tons of people out there teaching it. It's I believe that it's crucial to understand that. But right now it's my side hustle. I'm obviously growing it, and as you can see, my logo is the back right there, the traveling investor, right, with the apartment buildings in the back and traveling the world. But yeah, my goal is to help 1 billion people learn to do what I do, so that they can go out and create financial freedom. And it's not about going out there and having a portfolio of 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 units.
Right.
It's going out there and having enough cash flow, passive cash flow, so that you can step away from your job and be like, you know what? I'm done with that job. I want to go live my life. I want to go travel with my family now, while on a quarterly basis, I get my cash flow, or my monthly basis, I get my cash flow checks, and I don't have to do anything. I got somebody else managing my assets for me. And if I want to grow, I'll buy more properties. Right.
Right.
But you can have financial freedom with a 10-unit property.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to help people get into their first deal. I want to help people get into their first, it could be a duplex, a quad, 10-unit, 100-unit, whatever it is. I want to help get you into that first unit, so that you understand, so that you get over all that fear and the anxiety, and understanding how to really read an offering memorandum, how to create your pro forma, your numbers, and how to go out there and talk to brokers and build relationships with investors, so you can raise capital, so you don't have to come out of pocket.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think your point about, you can reach financial freedom with a 10 unit, that's really actually very powerful, and probably an important thing to kind of put out there. Cause I think, and this applies to me as well. You sort of see all these, the people, the big names, the people that are out there, and they're like, oh, he has, 5,000 units that he got in the last 6 months, or, I'm exaggerating obviously, but it's like, that's what you see, that's what people put out there. But then the reality is that you don't necessarily, that doesn't have to be everybody's goal, right? Like you can, like you said, you can have a duplex or a 10 unit or something smaller that can still provide you financial freedom, whether you leave your job or don't leave your, maybe you love your job, but at least you can have a, sort of that opportunity and that sort of safety net to where you have money coming in for, not for doing nothing, but ultimately for having that passive cash flow, like you said, just something that sort of, it's coming in because these assets are, sort of up and running and sort of doing what they're supposed to. So that's I think a very powerful point for people to realize, that it's like, you don't have to always aim for billions of dollars of assets under management. Like that's not necessarily, doesn't have to be every person's goal.
No, I mean, what I tell my coaching clients and what we talk about is, I said, listen, you don't have to tell me, but go home and do your budget. How much money do you spend on a monthly basis? What's your electric? What's your water? What's your mortgage, your insurance, health insurance, life insurance, food, entertainment? How much money do you need to have all your bills paid and for you to go and have fun? Right. And you'd be surprised. Some people say, what, $5,000, and $7,000. You can do that with small properties. And you don't have to go out there and kill yourself and raise millions and millions of dollars to close on a 100-unit property or a 200-unit property, where if you're just getting started in the business, or even if you've got money, you're going to cut that pie up among your partners.
Right.
You're already starting at 30% of the entire cash flow, right? Or 20% or 40%, when you're doing these big syndications.
Yeah.
So why not just kind of, let's bring it back. Let's figure out, why are we doing this? We're doing this to create financial freedom and to free up some of our time so that we can go out and spend with our families. Great. How much money do you need?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of network do you have that can help you do that? Right. And if you don't have that network, go out and find it. But that's kind of, that's kind of where we start from.
Yeah. Reverse engineer it, right? Like you said, you just figure out, this is how much I need in cash flow every month. Most people are getting that from their job. They're essentially they're like, this is my salary, so that's how much, a lot of times that's how people would put it. But you could even go a step further and say, okay, this is my salary, this is what I take home. Do I even need all of that? Right? Like if I were to work on the budget and the things on the expense side, like are there some places like, so it's like you said, it's like it doesn't have to be 100 units or 200 units. It's like then you start to actually have a team and other people to to pay through that process and things like that. So it's a balance and really truly, figuring out what you need. And it can be a situation where you're, sort of like doing it on your own, whether that's with syndication or joint ventures and smaller deals, or you can achieve that same, sort of level of freedom with truly passive, where you're investing in other people's deals. True, right? So, you said go out and find investors. Those investors are making money as well, and it's kind of a win-win all around, right? And so it's like, as a active / passive investor, so you've got rentals, but you're sort of part of that management side, the GP side, or a truly passive. Either way, you can do the same thing. You can decide, okay, I want this much money in passive income, and just figure out how, figure out what the average returns are going to be, and just do the math. It's not rocket science, right? It's like, this is very achievable things for most people if you really put your mind to it.
Absolutely. I mean, if somebody wants to live rent-free or mortgage-free, go out, save some money, okay? Buy yourself a duplex, live on one side, rent out the other, and that rent will pay for your mortgage.
Yep.
And now you don't have to pay a mortgage. And now if that mortgage would have been $1,000, $1,500 a month, right? Now, instead of paying the bank, you're keeping that, and that's a vacation. That's, at the end of the year, that, $1,200 a month at the end of the year, that's $15,000. That's no joke, right? People, a lot of money for people.
Yeah. It adds up quickly when you're able to reduce or eliminate your housing expenses, right? It's like, you hear people talk about, we shouldn't go to Starbucks every day, or you got to stop your Netflix subscription, or so. You're not getting financial freedom by not having Netflix. Like it's not, it's not happening. Saving you $14 a month, like that's not going to do it. Maybe the time you're wasting on Netflix could have an impact on your financial freedom, but the $14 a month, or your coffee each day, like that stuff isn't, you really have to either change the big expenses like living or automobile type stuff, or you have to make more money, right? So it's one of those two. You said your mentoring is your side hustle. Like there's the ways to have a real impact is to increase your income or save on the big ticket items. I think is really kind of, it's a maybe a misleading to tell people you can't have coffee and Netflix or whatever, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But yeah, so I think it's those are all very good points, and it doesn't have to be like enormous apartment complexes. You don't have to buy an 800 unit and buy, the returns of buying an 800 unit, but being, 2% of that 800 unit versus being the full owner of maybe a 6 unit or something like that. You may actually make more money on the 6 unit depending on, kind of the scenario. So I think that's great points to bring up. So I guess then what's kind of next for you? You've got some, I really like the diversity. I like, the glamping and the did you say there's a resort as well?
The glamping resort. So it's got a swimming pool, it's got a marina, it's got the 14-acre land. It's a beautiful place.
Awesome. And so with something like that, are you just renting out you're renting out the sites?
So we're renting out the sites nightly. We have the marina. It's 120 boat slip marina. So so boat pays rental as well.
Okay.
And then there's a membership, a monthly membership that people pay to come in and to use the land, the pool, and the services that we have on the on site. So there's several different streams of income on one property.
Yeah, phenomenal, phenomenal. I think I really like that. Sort of, I like hearing people's creative invest. It's like not many people talk about, oh, I'm going to buy a glamping resort or whatever it is. You hear about people with these sort of creative approaches, and I really like it because I think if you can think outside the box, you'll definitely get sort of maybe further quicker. You can get some really good returns on things like that. Well, Nitzan, the name of the podcast is Know Your Why. So tell me a little bit about what's your why. What really drives you and sort of pushes you to keep going? You said you're lazy. I don't believe you. You're doing you're doing far too much for me to consider that's laziness. But what really keeps you going and keeps you pushing for more? Uh-oh. Technical difficulties.
So I think I'm having a technical. Yeah. Oh, there we go. I think we're back.
Yeah,
right?
that's better. Yep. There you are.
So I also talk why with my clients connection. Are you there?
Yes, I can't. Your video's not working, but I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep talking then, because it's not my face that you want to see.
Your beard is great, but we want to hear your insight as well.
Right. Exactly. When I talk and teach about why as well, it's something that is alive. It changes as you grow and as you become a person. Your why should change. That's the way I see it. Right. I'm not the same person as I was when I was 20 years old. I'm not the same person I am, now, because my needs, my fears, my passions are different than when I was a 20-year-old. Yeah. So we have to understand that, right? That's going to evolve. So now my why is, there's a couple of whys. One is because, well, I want to make a ton of money. Yeah. I want to make a ton of money. But that's not what drives me, right? What drives me is I've always wanted, I don't know why, but I've always wanted to help people. I believe that we are spiritual beings experiencing or having a human experience on this planet. And for better or for worse, we've evolved in a way that we have to provide for our families via work, money, and then with that money, we trade for goods and services, food, housing, clothing, and whatnot. But somewhere along the line, something happened, and we as a human race, we lost the spark of why we're really here. And it's because we've lost that spark because we are chasing after something that is irrelevant, which is money. And we've seen how irrelevant money is. And when I say irrelevant, I mean irrelevant in the globe, in a universal point of view. Yeah. Obviously, we need money today in the world we live in. We need money to buy food, buy gas, pay our, obviously, but that should not be why we do what we do, right? We need to do things. We need to follow our hearts. We need to follow our passions. We need to follow our skills and our gifts and our talents to make the world a better place. Yeah. In Judaism, there's this thing called tikkun olam, repairing of the world. Every Jew's duty is something to repair the world. Whatever it is, donate to charity, build houses for homeless people, whatever it is, do something to fix the world. And I believe that for me, it is helping people achieve financial freedom, getting the burden of finances off of them so they can actually enjoy life. So many people are suffering. And, I don't necessarily mean suffering because they're homeless and they don't have much food, or, they're living in a caste society. Even today here and where we live and whatnot, people are suffering because they're getting up every single day and they think that, what, the solution to my existence is spending 45 years or 65 years, up until I'm 65 years old, sitting behind a desk waiting to retire and then retiring and then going out and enjoying life.
Yeah.
You know what, man? That sucks.
Yeah.
We've evolved
Yeah.
to a point where technology and everything, we can, you can create your own business. It doesn't have to be real estate. You can create your own online business, make money, go travel, see the world. Things are changing, right? And I want to be a part of that positive change. And that's why I go out there, and that's why I teach. That's why I mentor. That's why I want to go out there and impact 1 billion people, impact their lives. Now, impact 1 billion people, and I only impact 1 million people. You know what? That's awesome.
Yeah,
Because it's the
that's still
ripple
pretty
effect,
good.
right? More and more.
Right, that's still pretty good.
Right. So, that's kind of that's and another reason why is because I want to be the type of man that my daughters will look for in the future when they get older. I
Yeah.
want to be the example of what they should be looking for, right? So I live my life in a certain way. I present my work in a certain way. I missed one thing from one of my daughter's school events because I was in a real estate conference, and I said I'll never do that again. I said nothing is more important than being at her events. Thank God I'm able to do that. And obviously there are a lot of other people that say, well, you know what, I work 2 or 3 jobs and I can't do that, so I have to miss my kids' school. Well, great. Come talk to me. Let's help you build financial freedom. And it doesn't have to be by buying multifamily. It could be by starting out and flipping houses, right? That's the easiest and cheapest way of making money in real estate. You can also flip multifamily. There are ways of doing it. And you flip a multifamily, you're not making $1,000. You can make up to 10, 20, even $50,000, maybe even 100, depending on how ballsy you are.
Yeah,
Right.
it's true.
So that's my why. That's my
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, I love it.
A little
I think
long-winded.
no, it's great. And I think, that the money is important because it's a tool, but it's not even like, it's not, certainly not top of the list of most important things. It's not even, you know what I mean? The idea is
It's a
that the money
necessity.
allows you to help more, right? The more
Right.
money, the more impact you can have. I think it's probably the biggest reason why the money is important. Like once you get to the point where your family is comfortable, then who cares? Like
Right.
then you're making a lot of money, so you can help other families be comfortable and
Right.
impact from a knowledge and education standpoint, teaching, especially like to me, it's like teaching young people financial literacy is so important, because it's like,
Mhm.
no, I mean, nobody talked to me about any of this stuff when I was young. And it's like, so then you start playing catch up. And it's like, if like for my kids and any like younger people, I'm like, just do a little bit right now. Just do a little bit while you're young, and the power of time will work so well. So I think, yeah, you're 100% right on this. Like, it's about, like you said, healing the world, kind of giving back.
Yep.
So thank you for,
I saw a saying on a meme on social media. It said, when you've made it financially, don't build higher walls, build a longer table.
yeah, it's
Right.
great. Yeah, it's a good
That's
one.
kind of what it's all about, right?
It's meant,
And when we're in an airplane, right, and we're about to take off, and the flight attendant, what do they tell you about the mask? Put the mask on first on yourself. Take care of yourself first, then go out and help others. And it's the same thing with financial, with personal, with giving back. If you're struggling to make ends meet, how are you going to go out and help anybody else? You're going, dude, I'm working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. I got kids. I got the mortgage. I can't do anything for anybody. You're
Mhm.
missing the existence. You're missing the point of your existence. So let me help you, right? Settle down a little bit, get some passive cash flow, excuse me, passive cash flow coming in, right? So that you can breathe a little bit, and then you can lift your head up and go, wow, look at the world. Okay,
Right.
where do I fit in? What can I do now to help?
Yeah, exactly. You know what, if you can and pick your head up and breathe and actually see what you're missing out on, and then you can, see what an impact, sort of pay it forward. Yeah, I think I 100% agree. That's what I want to as well, in terms of with my investors, with anyone that, I mean, anyone who wants to, approach me with questions and things like that. Like, I don't have a mentoring program or anything at this point, but but also like I can help. I can, get, sort of connect, provide avenues, things like that, just like you're doing. So I think it's kind of a really nice thing that I find in the real estate community, that is that, very quickly people realize this is really a great way to sort of give back and impact those around you. So I think that's awesome. So thank you for sharing that. Little on a lighter note, tell me something about yourself that people don't know, maybe a hobby, something that you're a skill you have that people don't know, or you're trying to develop, something like that, some secret secret sauce.
When I was in Australia, I learned how to play the didgeridoo, which is an Australian Aboriginal instrument that the shamans use in the Aborigines, and it's an awesome instrument.
Yeah.
And not many people know that I play it because I kind of keep it a secret. I'm, not that good at it, but
that you should get out there. That would be super cool to see on your social media. You're playing the didgeridoo. Right? That would be awesome. I don't play. I know what it is, and I think they're kind of an amazing people that really know how to do it. I mean, kind of amazing instrument. Just the sounds that you can produce. And they're beautiful too. They're just like kind of when you see like a beautiful guitar, it's got like a beautiful didgeridoo is pretty amazing as well. So that's actually super cool. How can people reach you? And we'll put whatever you want in the show notes, things. But what's the best way to, if some people have questions or they want to connect, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Sure. You can find me on my real estate investing website. It's www.investwithcip.com. And if anybody's interested in mentoring and figuring out, how do I get started? What do I do and all that? You can go to my website at www.traveling-investor.com. And you can also email me at success@traveling-investor.com.
Okay, perfect. And we'll get that in the show notes for people. I guess as the last question, what advice would you give to people? And I'm sure you're doing this through your mentoring program, but maybe one piece of advice that you can put out there for people that are maybe getting started, and looking up to you and saying, okay, I want to be where he's at. What would you tell them?
I would say get educated, find a mentor that can help you build a team, that can show you the ropes, that can flatten the learning curve for you. But definitely you want to read. I would also say be careful who you partner up with. There's a lot of people out there on social media posting, look what I did, look what I did, look what we did, and they didn't really do anything. They were just part of a bigger team that went out and did it. They actually didn't do anything. Yeah. So make sure that when you're talking to someone, when you're interviewing someone, when before investing with them, before partnering up with them, ask them, what exactly did you do? Did you pick up the screwdriver and screw the screw? Did you paint the wall? Did you actually clean out the bathroom? Were you there at the property, right? Because a lot of people on social media today, what I found is they go, hey, I'm involved in 292 units. Yeah. Well, how are you involved? Oh, I just wired like $20,000 and I'm an investor and I own 292. Well, okay. Yes, but not really, right? So do your homework, not just on the properties and not just on the markets. Do your due diligence on the people that you're getting involved in. Make sure you know who they are. Make sure they have, your values and your money at the forefront of anything that they do, and get educated. Learn, listen to podcasts. You can check out my YouTube channel. I got a lot of free information there, the Traveling Investor YouTube channel. So that's what I would highly recommend for people to do. And again, find yourself a mentor, someone who's still out there doing it, right? Not someone who says, well, I bought my last property I bought was in 1985. Well, that doesn't, right. Things have changed, man.
Right. It's definitely
people are buying a 4-cap today.
Yeah, exactly.
People are buying 4 caps. And if you know what a cap rate is, you're thinking, what are you, crazy? I just underwrote a property in Durham, North Carolina. They want to sell it at a 3-cap.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, really?
Yeah. It is pretty crazy. And it's funny because I live in Los Angeles, and people here, like a 3 to 4 cap is kind of normal, right? And everybody's like, oh, Los Angeles, you can't buy. But now it's like the Carolinas, Atlanta, like Dallas, Fort Worth. It's the same thing. It's the same cap rates. It's like, I might as well just buy them right here in Los Angeles. Then at least it's close
Right.
to me. Like it doesn't. So yeah, the cap rates are so compressed across the country that it's, it's in a way leveling the playing field on the markets. I mean, I just talked to a broker that said they were having a 4 cap in Birmingham, Alabama. And I was like, okay, who am I to say that's not right? Like people are paying it, but
Right.
it just seems a little bit crazy. But yeah, I mean, your advice is great in the sense that doing your due diligence on the actual people that you're going to get involved with, whether that's the mentor or the syndicator that you're going to invest with, or whatever situation it is not just sort of blindly jumping in. So I think that's excellent advice. Well, Nitzan, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing all of this wisdom. I'm sure we will have people reaching out to you because I think there's a lot more there. So again, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. It was fun. I had a great time. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. All right. Goodbye, everyone.